crystal clear. New York and California, they lead the nation in lost personal income to other states. If you rent a U-Haul to move your company, just something to think about. It costs twice as much to go from San Francisco to Austin than the other way around, because you can't find enough trucks to flee the Golden State. And listen, I'm not here to pick on California. This is a beautiful state. This is an incredible state. Jim, I was thinking about, I did come here last February with a clear pitch to businesses to consider coming to the state of Texas. And I talked to them about taxes and regulation and legal system and skilled workforce. I had about 30 men and women at the Montage in Laguna Beach. And if there is a more beautiful place in the world, I'm not sure I know where it is. The sun was going down. Behind me, as the sun just set on the Pacific. And that group of men and women were facing me and seeing that sundown, and I just turned and I said, how bad does government have to screw it up to make you leave that? But as I shared with you, I'm not here today to pick on California. But I want to state just a few simple facts though. Your governor likes to dismiss the Texas model of free enterprise, limited government, and less regulation. He attacks the type of jobs that we create or the number of people in poverty. As a matter of fact, Michael, there's some interesting new data out on this issue of poverty. For all the spending that California does on welfare programs, your state has more citizens living in poverty than any state in the nation. On a per capita basis, there are 42% more people in poverty in California than in Texas. 42%. I don't think it's a coincidence that California takes 42% more of state income in taxes at the state and local level. If you eliminate the income tax in this state, you would still pay more in state and local taxes than the people of Texas. It is important to point out that poverty data that I just talked about, it is new, and it comes from a very precise new calculation from the Census Bureau known as the supplemental measure of poverty. It is a better indicator of poverty than the traditional method because it takes into account the value of food and housing, medical and other assistance, as well as the wide discrepancies in the cost of living from state to state. For instance, the minimum wage in Texas is lower, but it buys more goods and services than the higher minimum wage in California. The expansion of the welfare state in California has only increased the number of people in need of welfare programs. My home state's creating jobs faster than any other state in the nation. We have been rated the best business climate 9 years running. And more Californians are fleeing to Texas than any other state, including Nevada, or Arizona, or Oregon. Listen, this is not rocket science. In Texas, we cut taxes, we don't spend all the money, we have a fair and predictable regulatory climate, and we stop personal injury trial lawyers from filing frivolous lawsuits. It's that simple. Because of that, we have the abundance of jobs and we have the revenue. We're demonstrating that while you can't spend your way to prosperity, you certainly can grow yourself there. That's the message. The California-Texas population represents 1/5 of the United States population. So what our two states do determines the direction of this country. But most importantly, this debate matters because it's about the future of America. The vision that wins out. Either that big government protectionist nanny state version offered by California leaders, or the limited government, unsubsidized freedom state offered by Texas, will determine the future of our nation. America cannot sustain its current fiscal course. We cannot continue to borrow trillions of dollars from bankers in Beijing or in Brazil or in Tokyo. The downgrading of our credit for the first time 2 years ago shouldn't have surprised anyone. Our leaders were fighting over a few $billion in spending cuts while our debt had soared by trillions over the last 5 years. Long before our president presided over the downgrading of our credit, though, he was overseeing the downgrading of our standing in the world. He alienated Israel, he emboldened Iran, he muddled through the Arab Spring without a coherent foreign policy. His latest gambit in Syria was a demonstration of weakness in a world that needs a strong America. As Dennis Miller put it the other day, we got to be the only country in the world that sends out a save the date for the attack. I'll be real honest with you, it is not in our best interest to give advance warning to the enemy of the nature of a strike that we're going to be involved in. As an old Air Force pilot, I will tell you the first sign of Americans showing up that we're not happy with you is going to be craters on your soil. Reestablish America's primacy in the world. And it starts with foreign policy that Ronald Reagan termed peace through strength. It's not too late for America to lead. We can do it again. But only if we get our house in order first. Our national debt is a national security issue. The nationalization of our health care system will only further erode our economy. Borders left unenforced have us subject to future attacks. It is time for Washington to focus on a few things that the Constitution establishes as the federal government's role. Secure the borders, defend this country, deliver a cogent foreign policy, get out of the healthcare business, sleeping giant of American industry create prosperity again in this country. Only that renewed sense of purpose grounded in the constitutional premises can make this country great again. Let's roll up our sleeves and